Have you signed the petition?
Not yet, no, because you know me, I'm not very technical at stuff like that. I was going to start differently, but it's your show, you do what you want. He has no plan, he has no conviction, he has no backbone. I don't buy this government at all. It makes me furious with the shambles that was the Tory party.
I can't see it's going to make it actually going to force an election. And in fact, even if the entire adult population signed it, it wouldn't legally force anything.
Over 3 million people have signed a petition demanding Keir Starmer's resignation. But what sparked this unprecedented level of public outrage? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Isabel Oakeshott's recent revelations have shed light on a series of alleged misdeeds that go far beyond typical political controversies. From lockdown lies to international blunders, the scale of these accusations is staggering.
I mean, I'm not pretending it's going to actually in some way trigger an election. I mean, unless... So there are about 40 million people who are eligible to vote in this country. This thing is getting ahead of steam, and I think we've all got to pile in. And
all right, let me play devil's advocate. Let me play devil's advocate. I am absolutely with you and the millions of people who think this bloke is a disgrace.
But what it is just a big message, isn't it? It's just a message to this lousy lot about just how much they are utterly despised by how many people.
Keir Starmer's carefully constructed image as a trustworthy leader has begun to crumble thanks to a series of revelations about his lockdown activities. The Labour leader, who had positioned himself as a paragon of integrity, now finds himself at the center of a scandal that threatens to unravel his political career. Controversy revolves around a lavish penthouse valued at an eye-watering $188 million, where Starmer was reportedly staying during the height of the COVID-19 lockdown. This opulent residence, far from the modest surroundings one might expect of a politician claiming to represent the common people, has become a symbol of perceived hypocrisy and double standards. While ordinary citizens were confined to their homes, struggling with the emotional and financial toll of the pandemic, Starmer was seemingly living a life of luxury. The disconnect between his public messages urging people to stay home and his actual whereabouts has left many feeling betrayed and misled.
But we cannot fall for the BS that the king is going to get involved. This is not going to change the government. Yes, it will absolutely, Isabel, say to this government, globally and at home, not very popular. It's not going to make any difference, though, is it? Come on.
I remind myself that very many people didn't vote Labour at the last election. I'm not surprised that many of them want a rerun. That isn't how our system works. There would be plenty of people who didn't want us in the first place.
I mean, just ridiculous. I mean, Nigel Farage is one of the most popular politicians in the country. That's why millions of people voted for him and his party at the last election.
Isabel Oakeshott, known for her hard-hitting journalism, has been at the forefront of exposing these contradictions. She revealed that Starmer had been using the penthouse as a backdrop for various public messages, carefully staging it to appear as if it were his own property. This deception, according to Oakeshott, is one of the most damaging aspects of the entire affair. Public reaction has been swift and merciless. Social media platforms have been flooded with expressions of outrage and disbelief. Many are questioning how Starmer can claim to understand the struggles of everyday Britons while seemingly enjoying a lifestyle so far removed from their reality. As the scandal unfolds, one can't help but wonder, what other secrets might Starmer be hiding? His reluctance to address the allegations directly has only fueled speculation and intensified public scrutiny. The final blow to Starmer's credibility came with the revelation that he had filmed his tribute to the late Queen from this very penthouse.
And I think that's important.
Yeah, that's a strong thing. Well, he was on this morning. This is really interesting, and I want to pick you up on something with Farage. He was on this morning. My mate Andy Peters interviewing him. Have a listen to this. It's Starmer's response earlier.
So, look, what I focus on is the decisions that I have to make every day. It's a bit like opposition.
Surely you want us, the public, to trust you, to like you.
Isabel, before I talk to you about the robot, isn't that typical of the mainstream media? This is what he said. Oh, your approval ratings are even lower than Nigel Farage's at the moment.
Nigel Farage is always going to be a much more exciting, interesting, dynamic, charismatic, bright, engaging, and yes, divisive figure than Keir Starmer.
The juxtaposition of such a solemn occasion with the extravagant setting has struck many as deeply inappropriate and out of touch. This penthouse scandal has opened the floodgates for further investigations into Starmer's leadership and the Labour Party's transparency. As public trust erodes and calls for accountability grow louder, it's clear that the repercussions of this incident will be felt far beyond the confines of that 188 million penthouse. While the nation reels from Starmer's luxurious lockdown lifestyle, a far more consequential controversy lurks beneath the surface. How does one go from promising to restore trust in politics to allegedly compromising national interests? The answer might surprise even Starmer's harshest critics. Keir Starmer's rise to Labour leadership was marked by grand promises of transparency, integrity, and a fresh start for British politics. He positioned himself as the antidote to years of scandal and mistrust, winning over many voters with his pledge to clean up Westminster. But as Isabel Oakeshott's investigations reveal, the gap between Starmer's words and actions has grown into a chasm that threatens to swallow his political career. Perhaps the most alarming revelation is the allegation that Starmer's administration gave away vital British overseas territories without parliamentary approval. These aren't just dots on a map, they're strategic assets crucial to the UK's global influence. Oakeshott claims these territories were handed over to nations with ties to China, potentially jeopardizing Britain's geopolitical standing and national security. The implications of such actions are staggering. Not only do they raise serious questions about Starmer's judgment, but they also suggest a disturbing lack of transparency at the highest levels of government. How can the public trust a leader who makes decisions of this magnitude behind closed doors without proper scrutiny or debate? Oakeshott doesn't stop there. She criticizes Starmer's broader approach to foreign policy, arguing that his reluctance to engage with key global figures like Donald Trump has weakened Britain's diplomatic position. In an increasingly complex international landscape, can the UK afford a leader who seems unwilling or unable to navigate these crucial relationships? As if giving away territories wasn't enough, Oakeshott's investigations have uncovered another bombshell. Millions of pounds intended for public projects have mysteriously vanished. This financial mismanagement strikes at the heart of Starmer's promise to be a responsible steward of the nation's resources. The public's reaction has been swift and furious. A petition demanding Starmer's resignation has gained over 3 million signatures, a clear indicator of the growing dissatisfaction with his leadership. The Labour Party, once hopeful for a resurgence under Starmer, now faces a crisis of confidence that could reshape British politics for years to come. As the scandal unfolds, one question looms large. What will be the long-term impact on trust in political leadership? Starmer's fall from grace isn't just a personal tragedy, it's a stark reminder of the fragility of public trust and the consequences of betraying it. The repercussions of this controversy will likely be felt far beyond the Labour Party, potentially reshaping the entire political landscape of Britain. The unraveling of Keir Starmer's credibility isn't just a personal crisis, it's a symptom of a deeper rot in British politics. The public's patience with politicians who say one thing and do another has finally snapped. Starmer's fall from grace, fueled by Oakeshott's revelations, marks a turning point in how voters view their leaders. This scandal raises uncomfortable questions about the state of our democracy. How did we reach a point where a leader promising transparency could allegedly give away territories without scrutiny? The gap between political promises and actions has never seemed wider. As the dust settles, one can't help but wonder, will this be a wake-up call for political accountability, or just another chapter in a cycle of disillusionment? The long-term impact on public trust remains to be seen, but one thing is clear, the British people are demanding better from those who claim to serve them.